Hello. I'd like to unpack the statement that we sometimes make in KI that authority issues are emotional repression issues, because somebody asked me yesterday, well, what does that mean? I think of it this way. The place where we learned to first repress certain emotions, whether they were powerful ones like anger or vulnerable ones like hurt, was in the relationship with our first authorities. For the majority of people, this was mom and or dad, but just to cover everybody's experience, let's call it your earliest caregivers. These were the people in the position of authority that raised us and told us what to do and what not to do. It's part of what being a caregiver is, right? But when they did this, we had two choices as kids. We could resist or we could comply. Another way to say it would be we could fight them or we could submit to them, or sometimes a little bit of both. Now, this is where the concept of the dominant repression comes into play. Our dominant repression, at its most basic, refers to the buried emotion that we're most afraid to acknowledge, access, feel, and express to other people. And it's very much tied to that comply, resist, or fight, submit situation that we were faced with in childhood. Here's how. If my nervous system is one that for some reason is designed to be more afraid of anger, meaning anger is my dominant repression, then I'm likely going to comply and submit so that I don't have to feel and express my anger. Or on the flip side, if there's more fear in my nervous system around vulnerable emotions like hurt, sadness, and grief, then I'm going to be compelled to resist or fight the powers that be, right? To stay safe so that I don't have to experience that hurt, sadness, and grief. But see how in both situations, whether we're complying or resisting, we're repressing emotions in the face of authority. Well, once that repression mechanism and those buried emotions are locked in place, they don't just go away. And they're actually responsible for what they call in the psychological and therapeutic paradigms, transference. Some of you may know what transference is. For those of you who don't, it's basically just projecting your parents onto certain people, or in some cases, all other people. For example, your spouse, your boss, the president, you perceive them not as they are, but as an authority because of the repression and buried emotions in your body. We call it, authoritizing someone, or dadifying or mommifying, which is why these triggering relationships can be so helpful in the process of KI and coming out of emotional repression, because we can use them to access and clear the buried emotions in the body. When we do this, authority issues resolve because emotional repression issues resolve. If you'd like to learn more, visit repressiontest.com.